In a twist that no one saw coming, Prince Harry has stepped away from the charity he helped launch almost 20 years ago, as whispers of deep internal strife have turned into a full-blown crisis behind closed doors. The decision comes amid a storm of controversy that left the organization's leadership in shambles, and supporters are left with a mix of disbelief and sorrow as the beloved charity now faces an uncertain future. What could have driven such a dramatic exit from someone who once embodied hope and dedication? Almost 2 decades ago, Harry and his friend, Prince Ciso, set out on a heartfelt mission in memory of their cherished mothers. They named the charity Senebale, a word in Sesotho meaning forget-me-not, to honor the legacies of their loved ones and to serve African children in Lesotho and Botswana who faced the harsh realities of poverty and AIDS. Back then, the promise was simple yet profound, never to let the memories of those in need fade away. But as time moved on, even the strongest foundations can be shaken by internal discord. Last year, Prince Harry was seen journeying to Africa, where the warm, sunlit air and the distant beat of drums reminded him of the charity's humble beginnings. Later, in December, he was spotted in New York at a festive event, his smile bright against the city lights, a reminder of his deep personal connection to Senebale. Yet even these moments of public celebration could not hide the darker undercurrents swirling within the organization. Every step he took was now shadowed by an internal conflict that threatened to undo the legacy he had worked so hard to build. Behind the scenes, tensions had been simmering for months, escalating into a bitter dispute that split the charity's leadership. The heart of the matter was a breakdown in trust between the board's trustees and the person at the helm, the chair of the board. According to sources close to the matter, the working relationship had deteriorated to the point where it became impossible to mend, leaving the charity in a state that none could bear. It was a rupture that not only affected decision-making but also cast a pall over the organization's future. At the center of the controversy was Sophie Shandoka, a lawyer born in Zimbabwe who had been appointed as the board's chair just last year. Her appointment was meant to inject fresh energy and expertise into the organization, but instead, it sparked a fierce backlash. Many trustees were so troubled by the direction in which she was steering the charity that they demanded her resignation. Their displeasure was so intense that it led her to take legal action against the board, a move that added a bitter twist to an already volatile situation. The trigger for the whole ordeal seemed to be a contentious decision to shift the charity's fundraising operations closer to Africa, a move that unsettled some of the organization's key figures and led several to abandon the cause. In a joint statement that has circulated with the utmost urgency among insiders, both Prince Harry and Prince Ciso expressed their shock and dismay. They recalled with heavy hearts that nearly 20 years ago they had set out to honor the memory of their mothers by creating a safe haven for children in need, a promise embodied in the name Senebale. Their words painted a picture of a time when hope was abundant, but now, facing an unthinkable series of events, they felt compelled to step down from their roles as patrons of the charity. Their resignation was not a choice made lightly, but one taken in solidarity with the board of trustees who, it seems, had no other option but to bow out as well. How can an organization built on hope and remembrance fall apart from within? The statement went on to note that the trustees had acted out of genuine concern for the charity's best interests. Harry, speaking on behalf of himself and his co-founder, emphasized that the trustees' decision to ask Shandoka to step aside was driven solely by a need to protect the organization from further harm. "We thank all the trustees for their service over the years and are truly heartbroken that events have forced them into this corner," the statement said, a line that resonated with the pain of a shared loss. It was a rare moment of unity among those who had once been the driving force behind Senebale. Former trustees, names like Timothy Boucher, Mark Dyer, Audrey Casadensi, Kalelo Larathali, and Damian West, joined the chorus of regret, each expressing how hard it had been to make what they called a unanimous decision to resign. They spoke with pride about the visionary work that Prince Harry and Prince Ciso had started, yet their tone was unmistakably somber as they cited a loss of trust that had grown too deep to overcome. One of them, a lifelong friend of Prince Harry, expressed that while the decision was devastating, it was the only way to ensure that the charity did not become mired in legal and financial troubles that could jeopardize its mission entirely. The drama didn't end there. Alongside these resignations came a wave of departures from other key figures in the organization. Richard Miller, who had served as the charity's chief executive for 5 years, announced his exit, while Baroness Chalker, the former director and overseas development minister, had already stepped down a month earlier. Even a prominent supporter known as Johnny Hornby, often dubbed the advertising king, chose to leave after 11 long years of service, 5 of which he held the top trustee role. Andrew Tucker, affectionately known as Tux by Prince Harry, also left his senior position after nearly a decade. Each departure added another layer to an already complex story of organizational collapse and reformation. In a bid to save what remained of its mission, Cinebale has embarked on a major restructuring of its board. The charity now aims to bring in fresh experts who can bridge the gap between the central leadership and the teams working directly in Southern Africa. This reshuffling is part of a bold new plan to transform Cinebale's work. While it once focused solely on mitigating the effects of HIV/AIDS among children and young people, it now seeks to tackle broader challenges, including youth health, financial security, and climate resilience. A recent campaign, known as the Return to Southern Africa Initiative, showcased the charity's renewed focus and potential to attract international funding. And with the appointment of an interim executive director based in Johannesburg, the organization is signaling its determination to evolve and adapt to a changing world. Can a fresh start really mend the deep wounds of the past? Yet, even as these structural changes are announced with optimism, the echoes of the internal discord continue to reverberate. In a dramatic statement that sent shockwaves through the charity's circle, Dr. Shandaka accused the organization of covering up a host of serious issues. She blasted what she called weak management, abuse of power, and a toxic culture marked by bullying, harassment, and even misogyny and misogynoir. With a mix of anger and determination, she fired off a series of questions that left readers wondering, why would a leader report her own team to the Charity Commission? And how could the courts entertain a case that seemed to be more about settling scores than genuine grievances? Her tone was defiant, a woman standing alone against a tide of injustice, and she vowed that she would not back down or let anyone intimidate her. In her own words, she insisted that her role was never meant to be a vanity project and that she was there to protect the values of fairness and accountability that had once inspired Cinebale. Dr. Shandaka, with a conviction born of both personal experience and a deep sense of responsibility, declared that everything she did at Cinebale was driven by her commitment to the organization's core mission and to the young lives it touched. She spoke plainly about her duty to stand up for those who had no voice, invoking the spirit of Ubuntu, where much given means much expected. Even as she faced intense personal and professional challenges, she remained focused on raising the funds needed to support vital programs. "I have one job," she said, her voice steady despite the storm around her, "and that is to keep the charity moving forward for the sake of the children and youth who depend on us." Her words were both a rallying cry and a promise to continue the fight, leaving the reader to wonder what new chapters lay ahead in this unfolding drama. As the dust begins to settle on what can only be described as one of the most dramatic episodes in the charity's history, questions still hang in the air like the last notes of a somber melody. Will Cinebale manage to rebuild the trust it once enjoyed? Can a new board with fresh faces and bold ideas restore the spirit of a mission born out of love and remembrance? And most importantly, what will become of the legacy that Prince Harry and Prince Seeso so passionately nurtured for so many years? With each departure and every new restructuring plan, the story of Cinebale grows more complex, evoking both a sense of loss and a glimmer of hope. As the charity braces itself for the uncertain future, the echoes of its past achievements and the promise of new beginnings linger in the air, urging all those who care to watch this space with bated breath. The journey ahead is as unpredictable as it is vital, one that invites both reflection and anticipation at every turn.